What's up, everyone? How's it going? Let me just make sure this is working. See, there's a bit of a delay after I hit play before it starts appearing. So I have to make sure that it's actually coming up. But in the meantime, feel free to share it. And I'm going to kick off in 2 seconds. The main problem is this LinkedIn Live. Is it just it's still in beta testing, and so it doesn't really update as quickly as it should. But there you go. Okay, you ready to start? You are all very welcome. This is another weekly fundraising news. This is essentially me trying to avoid doing real work and just going through today's or this week's headlines, stuff that's kind of gone busy on fundraising Twitter, and anything else people want to talk about. You are welcome. I've put the link somewhere where you can actually come in to StreamYard, and you can come in just audio, or you can come in video and audio as well, and you can share your thoughts, totally disagree with me, or more likely totally agree with me. Or you can just watch, or you can comment on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever you want to comment. Sometimes it comes up on screen if it's a good comment, but feel free to feed in any way you want to feed in. Okay, so what are we talking about today? I will tell you. Let's check the headlines. So we're going to be talking about coronavirus in fundraising, because it's big. How is this affecting your decision to go to conferences? How is it affecting your fundraising? How is it affecting everything? Are you getting totally paranoid about stuff? Is it right to be paranoid? Is this the end of the world? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. That would be cool. We're also going to be talking about this stuff that's going on with the Alzheimer's Society and Samaritans in the UK. Claims of bullying and CEOs having to not take up the position, and other CEOs having to take up the position early, and things like that. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about drop in complaints to the fundraising regulator in UK, especially some drop in door-to-door complaints. We will be talking about the Digital Candle project that Platypus Digital has put out there. Talking about sexual harassment complaints to the IOF, which have come out a little bit, or some tasters of them. And there's a few other things we're going to talk about. So please do feel free to dial in, offer your opinions. We've got possibly some guests lined up. And now, do you want to see my news intro now that I've done the briefing? Here we go. I like that. I'm supposed to be updating the video clip every week, and I just keep forgetting to do it. So first of all, I want to talk about coronavirus, because this is kind of scary now, isn't it? I mean, I know everyone's pretty scared already. Just in general, it's just hit Dublin. They announced that it's in one of the schools, and they didn't name what school it was, but obviously it came out on Twitter, not a million miles away from me. And so it's here, it's everywhere. But in particular, I'm curious what people think about how it's going to affect fundraising, particularly your attendance of conferences. We haven't had any big fundraising conferences canceled yet, but there's been a lot of big other types of conferences canceled. And just how is it going to affect how we interact? In terms of handshakes, I see already start to drop out. I went to see my mum yesterday. We don't shake hands, but we hug and kiss. And that's... We actually didn't do it yesterday because I think we were both a little paranoid. And actually, one person who I'm gonna see if she wants to come on and share this, Nikki Bell, the infamous Nikki Bell. She was saying to me, and it got me thinking, that things are going to permanently change for humankind. In that, well, I'll get her to explain it herself. But the way I took it was that what whatever the timing is that this has caught us, because we've had big things like this, big viruses, big flus before, even bigger ones, although yet to see. But I don't feel like it changed society. But now it feels like I feel like we're going to finally get rid of handshakes. What do you think? Okay, let me see if Nikki Bell is here. Let's cut across to Nikki Bell. There she is, live. Good morning.
I swear this wasn't done on purpose. I was just drinking my tea.
That's very good. What is that? Fundraising Everywhere mug?
Product placement.
Wow, fantastic. I've heard of it. It's meant to be really good. What's going on, Nikki Bell?
Fine. I just want to point out that I'm sitting on a leather sofa. So when I move, if you can hear that, I'll try not to move so much. I'm all right. Sure. I'm actually, I'm feeling a bit poorly today. I feel a bit like...
Oh my God. Are you? What are the, what are the symptoms?
I don't have coronavirus. I
didn't say you did. Why are you bringing that up?
Because you literally just been talking about, I feel a bit like, don't know, like a bit out of body. I just feel a bit weird. I was poorly yesterday and I spent the day in bed. But anyway, this is not about me. This is your...
And are you sure it's not coronavirus?
Sure.
Like, I'm not even joking. Like, how does one know?
Because I mean, I haven't been to the key countries, and it's like respiratory, isn't it? And mine is very much not.
But there was an occurrence in Newcastle, wasn't there, where you're from?
There was, but it's only because they were brought here because the nearby hospital couldn't treat them. So it was very contained, and they were released. And this is kind of what I want to talk about, because you and I have chatted quite a lot about like coronavirus so far. And I think for me, it's very much at the front of my mind because at the moment I am organizing a lot of events. So obviously Fundraising Everywhere, not included because that's virtual. But at the moment I'm working with Open and Sophie to put together I Wished I'd Thought of That, which is next month.
Wow.
Obviously I'm on like the National Convention Board, and we have that in the summer, and then working on some sessions as well for IFC in Amsterdam. And like putting together the events, it has been a question that I've been asking these people, because it's like, for us, like for me, I'm not paranoid about coronavirus. I think, like, I know that it affects like most vulnerable people. I know that like basic hygiene, and actually the most worrying thing that this has shown is how many people don't wash their hands, which is disgusting.
Look, actually, I just realized my hand's in my mouth now. Like,
don't touch face.
I know. So, like, I saw that yesterday, and I'm conscious. I'm always touching my face because I'm quite like self-conscious. So I'm always touching my face.
So for me, it's not like what I want to point out is that in the sector, we're pretty like we're together, aren't we? And we know that if we see a news report, if we read something, we need to think, right, well, who is it for? Who's written it? Like, what's the purpose? Are they doing it for clicks or whatever? So we're a bit more, I kind of think probably because I'm not feeling very well, but like analytical of stuff. So we tend not to get carried away with things. But what we need to remember is that our supporters, who we are trying to fundraise from, they might not think like that. And I think one of the things that we learned about the recent election in the UK, like we were so convinced, we were like, Labour's going to win, because that's the kind of like timeline and news that would curate. Yeah. So in our bubble, we're like, oh yeah, coronavirus isn't a big deal. But like for supporters, like I know already lots of people who with their weekly shop are starting to like stockpile on non-perishables. And I just think, if this is the kind of mentality that people have got where they're thinking like, actually, this huge thing's going to come, like we're going to have to go and lock. So in the UK, there's already been tentative plans that if it does come here and it's quite big, then there'll be like a lockdown in the major places, in schools and things like that for 2 weeks. And if you think like, if people are thinking like that, when your spring appeal lands next month, are they really going to be in that mindset or mentality of like, oh yeah, I'll give like 100 quid. So I think that's how it's going to impact us. And I think from a conference, what were you going to say?
No, go on.
No, I just think like from a conference perspective. So I'm working on one this week, the Social Media Exchange in Newcastle. And we just had an email today from Jude, who's awesome, just explaining, if you've been to these countries in the last 2 weeks, please don't come. We'll get you we'll get you hooked up with something like virtual if you can't be there. And I think now it hasn't even reached its peak, but I think because we're not sure of how it's going to impact. And because large conferences, especially, you can't like monitor numbers of that mass. I do think that this year, at least one bigger conference will be affected, because it'll just happen at the time where like the news reports come out or a bit of guidance has come out, and they're like, do you know what? It's just not worth the risk. Like, let's not do it. So, and I think it's not because we're like paranoid about it. I think it's just because we're not sure, and we just have to be careful.
Well, it seems like it's probably the sensible thing to do. When you just look top level, to cancel something like this. If you're organizing a big gathering of people, to cancel it, like in Ireland, they're talking about canceling the St. Patrick's Festival. And people love it and stuff like that. And it just is like not the easy answer, but the sensible answer, what's to gain from having it versus what's to lose. But at the same time, the implications of canceling something like that are huge. Like if you look at, I won't pick on anyone in particular, but people who organize fundraising conferences, they can't afford one cancelled event. Like one cancelled event for a lot of people would put them out of business, because it's like, they work all year towards this one event. This is their entire income. A lot of their costs are still going to remain. If you think of fundraising everywhere, if we suddenly wiped out all tickets for one year, you're kind of close enough to the line that would kill you, that would destroy you. So can a conference even afford to say we're canceling?
Well, I just think that's the issue with that capitalism thought, isn't it? Like, is money more important than people?
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah. that shouldn't be the driver of the decision. Can we afford to? It should be like, do we have to? Like, is this going to look after people? Because we shouldn't be putting profit before people anyway. And it'll be hard, but like that's why event insurance exists. So for the events that I'm organizing at the moment, like that's the questions I've been asking them. Like, what insurance do you have? I'm taking out insurance because I'm supposed to be going to New Zealand in June to speak at a conference there. And like a lot of the connecting flights have been like through Shanghai and places like that. So I've booked the flights so that I can avoid them. But like, you never know what's going to happen by June. Do you know what I mean? So my weekend has been doing a lot of life admin and getting like loads of insurance in place.
And it's covered by insurance?
Yeah, so Donna Segal was sharing with me and Ben Pluto. It was meant. I had like an app, and I was set up very quickly. There are other insurance companies available, but because what the issue is. So my friend Maddie was supposed to be going to Italy this week.
Yeah,
and the flights were still going, but they said, if you go, you have to self-quarantine for 2 weeks when you get back. And she was like, well, I haven't got time for that. I run a business. But because the flights were still going, she didn't actually get her insurance covered, because they were like, it was your choice to cancel. Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like this thing, isn't it, where everyone's like, they're not sure of the severity of it, so they're still putting money before everything else. So I mean, I don't know, but yeah, you just have to make sure it's covered, because you don't know what's
that self-quarantine sounds awesome, doesn't it? Like, that sounds like
well, yeah. After I get back from a holiday, I'm always like, oh god, I could use another holiday. I'm knackered. But I can't think of anything worse than being stuck in the house for 2 weeks with a 4-year-old.
Oh
yeah. Like with Max, I would be like, sometimes I can barely do a day.
Yeah, if he popped out once a day, you'd be all right.
Yeah.
I mean, David on LinkedIn has said he'd be okay with handshakes if handshakes went away for good. Do you think it'll change on a micro level, like little humans who is it just going to change the way we touch people, or the way we like shake hands and hug and kiss, and just the interaction with people? Is that do you think that it's going to change long term? I mean, it's kind of due for a change, isn't it? Like, we're still, like, I think I was saying to you before, like, shaking hands started because we were trying to prove the other person wasn't a ghost. So if you like put your hand through them and it went through, it's like, ugh, I'm not having a meeting with you. Whereas now it's like, oh, okay, you're a human being, so I can talk to you. Like, that's how it started, and we're still doing it. So is it time we get rid of this? With like the Me Too movement, with people just, very protective of their space. Shall we just stop touching each other?
I mean, the answer to that question is always yes, because this is a professional setting. You don't need to touch people. I am a hugger, and if I know somebody, like if I first meet somebody, but like that's how I greet people that I know. But I always ask first, and I'm like, oh, can I hug you? And
really,
I mean, yeah, sure, of course. Because I had an awkward situation once when I was trekking, and I went in for a hug, and it wasn't good. But I don't know, maybe I think as well for the timing that it's come, I think in the UK people are just genuine, and it's really sad. I think people are trying the hardest to come together, but obviously there's external factors that are making people suspicious of each other and pull us apart. And I think that maybe this will be the excuse that, that not an excuse, but another addition to that kind of removes that contact. I don't know. I do like the little foot thing that people have been doing, where they like tap.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
Possibly. I think it will. I think because people are unsure, I think we'll do it for so long and it'll just actually become just like a normal part of our lives. I mean, I'm all for like the fist bump anyway. So
is that not dirty?
But it's not fingers, is it? It's like,
I know, but like then you like go like this and it goes in your mouth. And...
just stop touching your face. I don't know. I think it will. I think it would be very ignorant of us to think that such a huge news story isn't going to affect the sector in some way just because we're not anxious about it. Like it goes back to that thing of like, this is our supporters as well, doesn't it? And they are probably anxious about it. So we need to be like mindful of that. I was reading a thread the other day and they said I can't remember who it was. So if anyone's watching this and they know who it was, please let me know to give them credit. But they're actually advising their clients to do a follow-up, because someone had the spring meal in progress already, and they were saying I would probably do something in May or June to be like, just in case you've missed this.
Just in case you missed it during the
because they don't think it's going to be at the front of people's minds, especially if it lands during a quarantine. Like actually there's a point, if you are sending something, make sure it's very easy for people to give digitally on the website in case they can't get out. And I think it is this thing of us not knowing what's going to happen. We need to plan. When I was at IFC Holland last year, and there was a guy there, and we were chatting about Brexit, and he was like, "Oh, I don't think that we should make a Brexit plan because," he was like, "because then you'd have to make two plans," and I was like,
"Yeah,
okay, like we have to make two plans then, don't you? Like if you don't plan, you're planning to fail." Yeah. So I think we should be thinking about it, in a sense of how it's going to affect wider people. Sorry,
I don't hear people really talking about it, how it's going to affect the charity sector. It's people are talking about it as humans and in society what we need to do differently. But I haven't heard of anyone considering how this will affect their appeals. Will this change the response rate? Will it bump up our digital? Will this move us more towards digital? Because digital's been quite flat. I mean, it's grown a little bit, but it's been quite flat. So is it going to, I don't know, get any better?
I don't know. It hasn't. They say it hasn't peaked yet, so I think it'll continue to go back. Yeah. So someone was saying that. Obviously, I'm checking all of my sources. It's like somebody. Yeah, I'm sure I read this.
Yeah.
That they were hoping that it would peak in the summer because it's less likely to travel in the warm weather. But yeah, no, it hasn't peaked yet. So it is going to grow. But personally, I'm not that worried about it. But other people are. Like even in our family, that I like the discussions of going on a summer holiday have changed to like, let's just stay at home because we're not sure what it's going to be like. So do we really want to spend this money on an abroad holiday just to get to the time we can't go? So we're actually putting off booking until like May, June time.
That's the main thing, isn't it? It's the kind of wait and see mentality, and I'm guessing that's going to affect events and donations and stuff like that. It's like, well, I'll hold off booking this because I just want to see. I'll hold off making this donation because I might be dead, and people don't know what's going to be going on, so they wait and see.
Exactly. So even if it doesn't affect you, you're trying to kind of like gauge what's going on in the wider world and environment around you. So because if we do end up having to go into that 2-week lockdown, what do you do?
Andy Hill is talking about limp handshakes and how this might be A welcome end to limp handshakes.
Like with a fish. Maybe.
Yeah. Laura Crowdicker, as you know, she said to get in touch because she's got a New Zealand team, but she's saying she wanted to go to Thailand and now she's not going to travel. Laura, really? Laura, come on and tell us what your plans are, because Laura strikes me as a hypochondriac, if you know Laura, and she strikes me as well, I'm a hypochondriac.
Thoughtful.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Well, I know there isn't, but she's not here to say her.
I know. I'm trying to rile her up so she comes on.
Well, I think this is the thing. It's the unknown, isn't it? And I think, like, I don't know. And I guess this is the thing with a lot of supporters. Like, they're not going to know. They're uncertain, and they're a little bit scared. Like you would be. Like, you'd be avoiding the news as much as you could. It's shocking how much emphasis they're putting on this being a world issue when we didn't see half as much around like the whole climate action thing or climate emergency. So they can do it, but they
why is that? Because it seems more imminent?
Probably because it's like the fear and like the direct impact of stuff like sells more papers and gets more clicks maybe, whereas like climate emergency, there's so many people who are skeptical of it, isn't there?
People think I suppose it's more likely to affect people.
Well, you can put like names to it in numbers, can't you? That you're like, oh, Newcastle this, whereas for a lot of people, like the Australian bushfires are like so far away, it's hard for them to equate to it, whereas this, it's more local. But that's a different discussion, and it's not on your agenda, so I don't want to derail it.
Yeah, sure. Laura's pissed off. She's in LinkedIn. She's given a sarcastic thanks, Simon.
I told you.
Yeah, sorry, Laura. Yeah, okay. Come here, while I have you, Nikki, tell me what you think of this. It's the digital candle. Have you seen this? This is on the news.
I haven't. Is this from Platypus?
Yeah, so this is Matt Collins and his team on Platypus that they've just launched. And I was going to talk about this, and this is the kind of thing that you'd be into. So I might just see what you think.
Trying to read it, sorry, on the screen.
It's okay. I'll give you a summary. So basically, Matt Collins and Platypus Digital, they're an agency in the UK, and not long ago, there was this report that came out that basically said the majority of charities didn't want to, didn't see a place for digital, or they weren't going to expand on it. And basically, Matt saw this as neglect of digital in our sector. So he set up this thing called Digital Candle, where it essentially pairs you as a non-profit with a digital expert, and they donate their time to kind of helping you through it and giving you advice and stuff like this. So it's like free consultancy around digital, which I think is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Would you? You're not really a digital kind of.
Everyone is digital.
Hold on, I haven't finished my sentence. You're a bit into digital, but you don't market yourself as a digital consultant.
No,
but you donate a lot of your time to like helping people out and talking through this kind of stuff with people, don't you?
Yeah, so digital for me is a fundraiser and a relationship builder has been really important. Like, it's an organic platform to keep in touch with people when you are like quarantined. Or like when you're not at conferences and things like that. And as a fundraiser, it was especially useful to build relationships with people, because you could stay front of mind, you could share things that they liked and celebrate what they were doing on digital. But also, as a consultant now and going freelance, it's a nice way to kind of keep in touch with the wider sector. Mm-hmm. I was chatting with this awesome woman recently, Bobby Robson, who about digital. She's developing some training, and we were talking about the need for some kind of, when you say digital, like, what does that actually mean? Because for me, digital, the way I've used it, I think of social media. But like digital for somebody else that's a bit more into it, will be like strategy, websites, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I like the idea of this digital candle, because for people who are fresh to it and they want to kind of find out if it's for them, they can get that insight without the commitment of paying for a consultant. They can see if it's right for them. Mm-hmm. I would wonder if like the digital medium is right, because obviously if they're not digital, are they going to be comfortable with it? And a lot of the conversation that I had with Bobby was around like people are frightened of it. That's why they don't get started. So it would be good to know if there's any kind of offline.
The idea of like booking a call online and actually having that call online, that might even be intimidating for some people.
Yeah, depending on what they use. I mean, for a lot of people who aren't as tech savvy, Skype can be a massive pain in the ass.
Skype is shit, isn't it? Like it never works the first time.
No, I don't. I've actually gone off Whereby now as well. I cancelled my
subscription
for that. I know.
Why?
I'm all about Hangouts now because it adds subtitles for you, and I use Zoom for recording my podcast. Just it's more reliable. Like the amount of time
Google Hangouts adds subtitles.
Yeah. Like obviously it's all automated. Yeah. Google. Oh, is that Google? What's happening?
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
And how many people can you have in a room on Google Hangouts?
Oh God. If through through the video, I can't remember, but through when you ring in, it's more. But I'm using it at the moment for a project that I'm running for a charity in London. And there's like 26 stakeholders as part of this group, and it's fine for that.
I can't believe you got rid of Whereby.
I know. Sorry. It's because when people were ringing in, you spent 10 minutes being like, I can hear you, but you can't hear me. And I was like, I haven't got time in my life for this.
Yeah, there is a lot of that on those digital calls, isn't there? It's like, can you hear me? No, can you hear me? There's someone I'd speak to. Who is it? I can't remember. Someone I speak to regular, and they're like, when you say, can you hear me? They say, can you hear me? Instead of saying, yes, I can hear you. So then you're like, yeah, I know I can hear you, but can you hear me?
Yeah, that's true.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay, do you have anyone else waiting to come in?
No. Why? You can go if you want. That's fine.
No, sorry. I'm still on my lunch at the moment, so I'm happy to kick around for a bit.
What do you got going on this week?
So I'm having a call with that charity this afternoon. Getting things set up for this week. I'm releasing another Pizza for Losers podcast tomorrow.
Who can you say who the guest is?
I don't know yet. I've got I've got 8 episodes ready. But there's a great selection. We have Tom Dufresne, we've got Kishan Palmer, Lucy Gower's in there, so I might do.
Oh yeah,
I might release Lucy's. Yeah.
Yeah,
they're all really good. Everyone's really brilliant. So that's tomorrow. And then Max has got an open day on Wednesday, so I get to go into his nursery and play at his nursery, which is cute.
Oh, that's lovely.
And then I'm at the Social Media Exchange on Thursday for anyone that's in Newcastle. I think there might be like a couple of tickets left. But that's,
what is it?
It's the sound delivery. So Jude Habib, who runs the Be in the Story. So she's speaking at Fundraising Everywhere about how to find the story and support people on how to tell it. She's running an event at Crown Plaza in Newcastle on Thursday, supporting charities with how to tell their story through digital. So it's looking at like crowdfunding, Instagram, the whole shebang. So I'm working there on Thursday doing their social media, which will be cool.
Lovely. David on, just tell me what you think of this. David on LinkedIn has sent this link across. He's saying Digital Candle is not a million miles away from this. Let me see if I can bring it up. Catch-a-Fire, virtual volunteer projects that fit your schedule. Catchafire.org. And so, it's that idea as well of experts giving up their time for someone who needs it. Build a custom.
Have we made it public yet about what we're doing for Small Charities Week? Because
no. Do you want to?
Yeah, sure. So on Small Charities Week, which is in June, can't remember the exact date, but we have collected sector experts who are going to be giving up their time for free for small charities. And again, that's all going to be run through the Fundraising Everywhere platform. So people will be able to book their time in with an expert of their choice. You submit your problem, and then on the day you join in just like this, and then you work together to solve it. But Matt Collins from Platypus is one of our digital experts on Monday, which is cool. And this is what I love about the sector, and this is what you and I are doing in business. It's the main goal is upskilling and supporting fundraisers, isn't it? So if we're really protective and scarcity thinking and being like, I can't bring you into this because it's competition for me, it's actually affecting the end goal, which is upskilling the sector. So what we're trying to do, and what I think everyone should be doing, is, you know, bringing people in on this journey and working together to, you know, create this network of people who can get help. And I love that, you know, a lot of the people that are on there, they could see us as competition, but they've said yes to it, I really like that. So I have a lot of time for Matt. I have a lot of time for Platypus. I think they're a great agency, and yeah, I'm pleased that they're involved with us. So we'll be launching the Small Charities Week advice sessions immediately after the Fundraising Everywhere Festival in May.
Yeah, and people will be able to book in for their little slot with people like Matt, people like Lisa Sargent, people like John Lepp and Jen Love. And, really good people around the world, and you get your little time with them for free. So they're donating it for free. And
let me check who's on here. So we've got so the Monday's digital. So we've got Matt Collins and Teresa Litzer from Lightfall.
Oh yeah.
Tuesday we have like DMs and appeals. So Lisa Sargent, Agents of Good. It says Sandy. I don't know who Sandy is. Do you know who Sandy is?
No?
Don't know who Sandy is. Sandy, if you're listening, let us know who you are.
Yeah.
Wednesday we have trusts. So Caroline Danks, David Burgess, and Deanna Wolfe. Thursday, community peer-to-peer. Yes. Helen Trenchard, Jess Sayer, and Nicola Hunter. And then on the Friday, which is corporate major donors and legacies, we have Beth Upton and a space. So if anyone's listening and wants to be our expert on the Friday, get in touch, because we've got a gap there.
Oh, those are good people. So what's the gap on?
So that's the Friday. So like corporate major donor and legacy. So like high value.
Okay. So corporate, legacy, high value people, any consultants want to donate a couple hours or a few hours to give some free consultancy to little charities around the world, then please get in touch with myself or Nikki.
What else is on your news agenda?
Laura said she thinks it's a great idea to share knowledge. She's not mad at me anymore. It's a great idea to share knowledge for free. I offer weekly pro bono mentoring, and I've done for 4 years because I'm so aware not everyone has big training budget. I love this idea. That's really nice, Laura. And that's like the Claire Kerr mentality. And there's a few people out there, Paul Nazareth and stuff, who they like carve out time to give free. I kind of do stuff like when it comes up and I have time, but there's a lot of people who are like, this is my time each week where I give free shit out.
Yeah, I'd love to get to that point where it can be like a regular thing a month. I think that's the goal. At the moment, I have like blocks of time to support people with like conferences and speaking and training and stuff. So I think my pro bono stuff is booked until September. But I would love to be able to just like dedicate a day, you know, to a charity and like work with them like long term on something. That's somewhere I would like to get.
Yeah, you're so in demand these days. You're so hot right now.
I think it's just because it's just me now. Although it is getting to that point where I'm thinking about how I can like work. Well, you and I are both chatting. We're getting our social media person in, which is exciting.
It's exciting.
I need to chat with you about that offline, actually.
Yeah, sure. Let's not do it now. All right. Well, look, come on. Let's move on to the other story. If anyone wants to comment about coronavirus, about handshaking and stuff like that, or about offering time free, things like Digital Candle, then please do message on Periscope, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever, or drop us a message, or follow the link that I've been putting around the place and come in and share your opinion live via video and appear. Let me ask you about this.
You mentioned the time, like on your tweet, by the way.
What time?
Of this. You just kind of you put it out saying that you were doing it, but then you didn't say
yeah, it's kind of a viral marketing tactic. It gets people talking about it.
But if your tactic is to go viral, that's not a strategy. It's not a strategy.
Let me ask you about this. This is a serious story that's on the agenda, and you actually might opt out of this because can you comment on this? IOF investigating small number of complaints about sexual harassment. Are you allowed to comment on that?
I don't see why not.
Okay. Well, yeah, because you have lots of like intricate relationships and stuff where suddenly you're not allowed to like comment on things. But let me read you this story. So there's kind of been that murmuring ever since Ruby Bailey Pratt's article last year, talk about sexual harassment in the sector and what happens next and what changes. And it actually feels like it went pretty quiet for a while, but then this article came out in Civil Society last week from Kirsty Weekly. And she says the Institute of Fundraising says it has received a small number of complaints about sexual harassment, which have progressed to a formal investigation since concerns about the problem were raised in March. Last year, fundraisers called for leaders and membership bodies to do more to protect them from sexual harassment. It talks about Ruby Bailey Pratt's article. IOF said, spokesperson said, they have received a small number of complaints which have been or continuing to be investigated, and they were unable to give any details about exactly how many complaints the IOF had received and whether any disciplinary action has been taken. So it's kind of like it's still bubbling there as if it's going to come out. Does it feel like there's going to be a big explosion of stuff, or is this like what?
I feel I feel like the article was a well-placed kind of not planted article to kind of minimize the attention on it, because it came out at around about the same time as some social media posts about another conference and people that were speaking on there, and then obviously some people got taken off. I think the quote on it is trying to minimize it, which is pretty shitty, because even if it is a small amount of complaints, one is too many, because you shouldn't be like sexually harassed at work. So yeah, it was like that in itself was like a not that it was a non-story, because the content of it is really important. It was stuff that they'd put out before, but it's like, who was it for the purpose of? And I don't think it was for like the sector and the people that were like affected by it.
You think it was just to get it done, to say like this has been covered and that's that?
I mean, personally, I can't talk too much about it because I know different sides of it. And obviously we've got to like let things play out and pan out in the other channels. I did like the tweet from was it your mate Liz Leclerc when she was saying, can organizations investigate themselves? I thought that was like a really important point that actually I'd not considered before. And
I think she made the point as well. She kind of maybe raised an eyebrow at the language of this is, a small number of complaints. As if it's kind of like, it's a difficult one. There's a weird thing about the process here, because they obviously have to go through process, and there's, there is a process of like investigating people and the idea of innocent until proven guilty and things like that, but that doesn't always apply in practice.
And again, it just goes back to that conversation that we were having at the beginning. Like, the processes aren't there for the people who will go through the process. It's for the purpose of, like, do you know what I mean? Do you know, if you go through a complaints process at work, it's that they can show that they've ticked the boxes and that they've done steps to get to a point. But it's like, but there's actual humans that are involved in this, that are worried, that have thoughts, that have feelings, that have to like relive that trauma every time. And right. A process and steps, like, it dehumanizes the whole thing. So there needs to be more done, basically, because I know of people who are involved in processes like that, and like they're off work because it's affected their mental health, and they don't feel safe, and they don't feel supported, and it's like, it's so that an organization can follow their process.
Let me see. Andrea has dialed in. I don't know if she has something to say or not, but I'll bring her in. Andrea, have you got strong views on these sexual harassment claims, or strong views on coronavirus, or have you just come in by accident, as happened last week?
They're muted.
Yeah, so she might unmute herself and come back in. We'll see. If she wants to offer opinion, she might have just followed the wrong link, as happened last week. So okay. I don't really know what happens about this sexual harassment stuff now. Like, where does it go from here? It feels like the next step is for something to come a bit more public, because it still just feels kind of vague and murmurings out there.
Well, I know you were worried because you were on that lineup. And so what is your, like, do you know, what is the purpose of you raising this? Is it for you, or is it like for that general conversation? Because that, I know you were like worried about it from your side as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, usually I'm asking questions because I'm curious what I can do, because, you know, obviously it's important to me. It affects people who are close to me, like yourself, and, you know, and other people I know who have maybe gone through something even. So, and I think, you know, the more we talk about it, the more it benefits everyone, surely. But the incident you're talking about is when essentially, you know, a few people said there's a sex pest on this website and provided the link, and I was on the website, and I wasn't the only person. They were talking about someone else. But I thought that was really unfair. I thought it was really unfair that it was like, you know, and I wasn't trying to make it about me, and I'm not trying to make it about me, because there's bigger problems than that. But it's at the same time, you know, someone did say to me, they're like, "Is this you? Are they talking about you?"
Which is really rude, awful. By the way. Yeah, I know.
Really rude. Yeah.
But and again, but we have to think about like those people who have made those complaints that are involved in that process. So you know, clearing your name, or you know, having conversations around it. You know, it has to be for the right reasons, because there are actual people who've been heavily affected by this, like at the center of it. And every time they see a tweet, or every time they see something about it, like it's bringing up trauma for them. So it kind of has to be a constructive conversation that does have, you know, an outcome that you're aiming for, rather than it just being, I don't know.
So something like this, would you argue that I you know, it could be viewed that I'm talking about it for the sake of talking about it, that there's really nothing to benefit from me talking about it on this? Should I not be talking about it?
No, I think it's good to talk about it.
I'm just trying to clear my name from those tweets.
I mean, it's your news show, isn't it? That's what news does. It's like, it's getting people in to talk about things. So I just think we have to be like, not careful with it, because obviously we need like strong and passionate voices to keep it front of mind. But I just think like it has to have a purpose and a reason, because like there's people that might be watching this that might think it's at their expense.
I mean, the other side of it is, this is like an open forum, in that, you know, anyone who wants to come onto this and share their opinion can share their opinion and be challenged about it. So it's not like people talking at you. And so if anyone wants to pull me up on something, or you know, share their opinion, they can. I think I don't know what my approach is to it, because obviously I'm not personally affected by it. I have nothing to do with this. But I think it's like, the more we talk about it openly and the more we ask questions, you know, when you're just trying to learn about it, it feels like a good thing. And maybe IOF be doing more along those lines, where they're actually having more of an open discussion? Because even articles like that, it feels like they're compartmentalizing it over here, and it's like, don't worry about it, it's over there.
Well, that's the thing. It's like their process in it and their involvement in it, from my opinion, is for them, and it's not like at the moment, and it's not like, even if there is a small number, that's, you know, still people too many. I have to leave. I have a call now that is important.
Yeah, well, that's cool. We're going to wrap up soon anyway. Thank you very much for your time.
That's all right. I'm glad I made it on time for this one.
Yeah, really nice to see you. Anything you need to plug? Anything people should be going to check out? Fundraising everywhere, of course.
Yeah, pizzafaloozas.com. The podcast is out tomorrow, but also we are running massively low on tickets. We've had a couple of charities bulk buy quite a lot of places. So if you are planning on coming to those events, which are in Sheffield, London and Toronto, I would massively encourage you to get on, because it's still like 4 months until event day, and we are running low.
And I will be talking at the one in Sheffield.
Sheffield, yes, and Toronto, because I think you're there, because you have to come back, don't you, for your Northwest thing? But I think you are there. So if you're there, like, you might as well just do it. Yeah, sure. Well, if you're there, you might as well do it.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
Which is like the nicest invite, you know. Well, you're there.
Yeah, whatever you're there.
But yeah, I think because you were good. Happy New Year, and you get like people in Toronto like warm to you and like you. So yeah, come on. I'll have to check it with John first to see if that you're approved.
John, if John's watching this, John Lepp, can you reply, or can someone tweet at him and just ask him and get confirmation? Let's just get this locked in.
Yeah. But no, right. Okay. See you later.
See you. Nice
Bye.
All right. Well, we're near the end anyway, because I have to go pick up my son. Just the last thing to talk about. I might be skipping a couple of things actually, but the drop in complaints registered with the fundraising regulator. So the fundraising regulator, I know this is the UK again, but still it's interesting for everyone. So the fundraising regulator, every year they put out their annual complaints report, and generally complaints were down. Some of the things they highlighted: door-to-door fundraising complaints have decreased by nearly 22%. Clothing collection complaints have decreased. Online complaints decreased. Email complaints decreased. Did everything decrease? No. Fundraising at outdoor events completes the top 3 most complained about fundraising practices, a 43% increase in the previous year. What are people complaining about for outdoor events? That's weird. So the sector overall reported a 55% fall in complaints. Well, what's that? That's probably off the backlash of all of the negative media coverage that was happening in the UK, all the GDPR stuff. I'd say everyone's just kind of pulled back. And I imagine a decrease in complaints is going to be tied into a decrease in the amount that was raised, but I don't know. Chief Executive of the Fundraising Regulator, Gerald Oppenheim, said, "Our annual complaints report is crucial in providing us with a clear picture of fundraising standards in the UK. The findings help us to identify areas which need greater attention from us, but also allows us to see where there has been improvement. We are grateful for the sector's continued positive response to the recommendations we make, and I look forward to working closely with fundraising organizations to maintain the high standards of fundraising practice we see today." I think we could have made that a little bit more exciting, couldn't we? But that's good news, isn't it? Complaints going down, that's what we want. Anyway, there we go. Right, any other last thoughts before I wrap up? We're coming up to, well, 45-minute, 50-minute mark. It's time to finish it up. Let me just have one last check on LinkedIn. Laura is there. She's not pissed off at me. That's good. Her company works 100% remotely with over 400 people. GoToMeeting, Zoom will grow, and their stocks are predicted to go up. Yeah, I think they're already going up. All these virtual things are going up. Yeah, and if you're looking for a fundraising virtual conference, then check out fundraisingeverywhere.com. Okay, I think that's it. So let me tell you what I've got going on this week. If you're around, I'm down training in Galway tomorrow. So if anyone is on the west coast of Ireland and looking for some fundraising training, check it out through the wheel.ie. What else have I got in? I've got an IFC pop-up on Friday. So this is through the Resource Alliance. So if you're in South Africa, then you can actually go to this thing and you'll see a session that myself and Nikki did on fundraising for introverts. And I will be dialing in to answer live questions virtually. And then I believe they show some other pop-up stuff as well. Those are quite good events. Check out the Resource Alliance website or look for the IFC pop-up stuff. What else have we got? This Thursday is the 100th episode of my podcast. And so this is a special episode. What I have Jen Love will be guest hosting, and she's interviewing me. So if you have any interest in me and hearing an interview with me, of course you don't, but maybe you do. This is the 100th episode of the Simon Scriver's Amazingly Ultimate Fundraising Superstar podcast. So do check that out wherever you get your podcasts. Fundraising Everywhere Festival tickets are still on sale, of course, at fundraisingeverywhere.com. We have our monthly training. This month is going to be Cindy Wagman, the Canadian Cindy Wagman, and she's going to be talking about secrets of small shop fundraising. So if you're a small shop fundraiser, if you have trouble balancing your time, managing your time, then this is one for you. It's only €20 to attend, or free if you're a member. So check out fundraisingeverywhere.com. What else have I got on this week? I've got a few projects I'm wrapping up, and then I've got a super secret project which I'm kind of doing with Stephen Shattuck, and that's going to be coming out soon, or that's going to be announced soon. So that's going to be exciting. And then you know what I have this week, which is fun? I'm dialing in to a staff meeting of a nonprofit I work with, people who are dubious about fundraising. So I get to talk to them all and try and appease them, or try and win them over around fundraising. I love that stuff. Fundraising for people who hate fundraising. That's like one of my favorite things in fundraising. Talking to people who just like don't get it, don't want to get it. Okay, that's it. Anyone else? Anything to say? Any final words on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Periscope? Anything you want to reply? Any last thoughts? Please let them know. Can I buy shares in fundraising everywhere? No, not yet. You can't. No, yes, you can't. Faith Abraham says I did. I'm assuming she's talking about me, not the greatest South African accent. Is it not? What did I say? Johannesburg? Johannesburg? If you'd like to, no, if you, everybody tune in for my fundraising IFC pop-up. Oh my God, that's really bad and difficult. But there you go. I'll work on it for next week. Okay, that's it. Thank you all very much. Lovely to see you all. As always, for the foreseeable future, we're going to do this. So I'll be back next week. It'll be Monday or Tuesday. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to keep up to date, or just keeping an eye on LinkedIn or Twitter, and I'll put updates there. But we'll be back next Monday. Please do come and chat in. Please do email me at simon@changefundraising.com if there's anything you want me to cover or want to talk about. But otherwise, that's it. Have a good day. Have a good week. Catch you all later.